Our gospel shows us a couple things about God and our own response in following him. And for one thing, it shows us who God is, what kind of a king he is. Not a dictator of sorts, not one that just imposes things from above, but instead one who is benevolent. And isn't it good that Christ, our King, is benevolent and loves those who are poor and attends to their needs? As, of course, he calls us to go out and be his hands and feet to do so. So that's the first call, right, is what we hear from our gospel reading today, and perhaps the more obvious sense of everything, that all of us are responsible for going out and serving our brothers and sisters that Jesus identifies so closely with, even so as to say, whatever you do for the least of these brothers and of mine, you've done for me. So what are the needs around us that we can go out and do? Recalling, too, that in the gospel, those that were sent off to eternal punishment were not sent off for what they did, like bad things that they did, but instead for good that they did not do, good that they failed to do. They were not sent to punishment for acts of commission, but rather sins of omission, what they failed to do for their brothers and sisters around them. So again, what are those physical or spiritual needs that we see around us that we're called to meet? Maybe in the spiritual realm, do we know people with spiritual needs that we can go out to? Someone who's starving for somebody to show them love, or estranged from God or family, naked because rumors or gossip has exposed their faults and now they're treated mercilessly by others, imprisoned by addictions. How can we go out and serve them, and serving Jesus in them? Or maybe those physical needs around us that we know that we can meet. Of course, there are many different ways that we can assist our brothers and sisters, those that are described in the gospel. Feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, welcoming the stranger. Food drives that we might be able to participate in. As a brief little advertising plug to our family-to-family program here at St. Margaret Mary. Still has one more week going, and we'd love to have you participate in that. The opportunity to help families at Christmas, offering gifts for their children, as well as providing meals for them too. And the little advertisement there, family-to-family program at St. Margaret Mary. But truly, that is one thing that we can do to provide for the physical needs of the people around us. And isn't it good that our benevolent King loves all of these people who are in need and asks for us to supply for their needs because he cares for them and identifies with them. He attends to their needs. You know, I hope everybody in their life has a chance to go out and serve the poor in a very personal sort of way. Maybe it be a mission trip that you're able to go on and going off to a country that's has a lot less going for it than we do here. Or maybe it's simply going to a soup kitchen and being able to serve the poor, even within our own community. Not only to do so as an act of service, but in a way of being able to encounter them as well, putting a face to the issue. To poverty or to hunger or to homelessness, being able to meet people that are in these ways. And one of the reasons that I think that's such an important thing for us, and maybe during the virus things aren't able to you're not able to go out and serve people in that way. But one of the reasons why that can be so good for us goes back to what kind of a king that we have too. So what often happens when maybe we go to a mission trip or serve the poor in a soup kitchen and we see them is we come before these people and we say, oh, well, you don't have much, but you're actually so generous to the people around you. You know, you are sharing what you have with those around you. Maybe you don't make much money, but you're offering the little that you have and you're giving it to charitable goods or to the church. Or we say, oh, you don't have that much, but you're actually so grateful, or you're so faithful, or you're actually just amazingly joyful for what you have. So when we're able to serve the poor in that very direct person-to-person way, sometimes it also sheds light on our own poverty, where we are in need. I think, for instance, of one experience that I had with some of the poor in Rome. Of course, there are many people in Rome that are suffering in poverty. But as I was over there and had a chance to study over there for several years, I got to know a couple of them more personally. I think in a particular way of Luminitia, who was a Romanian mother of three, that I got to know over the course of 3 years or so, and many of the other guys in the seminary also shared in getting to know many of the poor in the city. But she came to Rome because in Rome there's no tuition cost for the children, so she wanted to help her own children get out of the cycle of poverty. So her part in that plan was to just sit on one of the bridges on Rome in one of the more trafficked areas to try to beg and ask people to provide for their needs out there on days under the hot Roman sun. But some things about her that I noticed were she never complained about her situation in life. She was always grateful when little gifts would be given to her, even if it was just a couple, pennies. And she also genuinely enjoyed getting to know the people that stopped and talked with her. Amidst all of these things that were going on in her life, how strong of a spirit she had. Thinking of myself, as I saw her own example, I thought, wow, when I go up at the seminary and the food that was provided for us, I complain when it gets burnt. And yet here she is, just like begging for her daily bread, literally, and never complaining about it. Or me getting lazy, with my schoolwork or something like that. And here she is, day in and day out, doing very unfortunate labor of just begging. And also her whole family was trying to work, trying to get jobs. Her husband would go out and try to do some transportation services and things like that. How hard they went to work trying to serve their family. Her example shed some light on my own poverty, places where I needed to grow, where I needed God's help. And so I think as we're standing before this gospel too, it offers us a chance to consider where are the places where we are poor, where we are lacking in patience, or where we are in need of love, all of those places where we might be poor. Isn't it good that our King is benevolent, and he loves us who are poor, and he attends to our needs too? So as we come before Jesus here in the Eucharist, we lay before him our own poverty, our own needs. Ask him to fill them up. Ask him to strengthen us, for we are poor. And of course, he calls us to go out and do likewise, to go out and attend to the needs of those around us, whether they be spiritual needs or physical needs, that we can imitate the great example of our own benevolent King who loves the poor and attends to their needs.